1942. Echoes of World War II reverberate across Europe. Weary and worn, soldiers find solace in a compact meal. A tin of spaghetti provides them with a taste of comfort. Prepared by a 16-year-old who immigrated to America from one of the very nations they battled, this young man would soon amass a fortune from his canned spaghetti. Ettore Boiardi, the individual who would become Chef Boyardee, possessed an innate talent for cooking. Born in Piacenza, a town in northern Italy, on October 22, 1897, Ettore displayed a passion for cooking from a tender age, so much so that his family recounts him using a wire whisk as a baby rattle and becoming a chef's apprentice by the age of 11. At just 16, Ettore embarked on a journey that would change his life forever. Leaving Italy behind, Ettore traveled to New York City, where his brother Paul lived and worked as a waiter at the renowned Plaza Hotel. Paul managed to secure Ettore a position in the hotel's kitchen. It didn't take long for the staff to recognize Ettore's extraordinary culinary skills, something his family had known since his infancy. In just a year, Ettore was promoted to head chef. But Ettore's ambitions extended far beyond this achievement. Over the next 10 years, he made a name for himself in the culinary world, working as the head chef at numerous hotels and even overseeing a presidential wedding. Eventually, Ettore settled in Cleveland as a head chef, but not for long. He knew it was time to branch out and pursue his own ventures. Together with his wife, Ettore opened his first restaurant, which he named Giardino d'Italia, the Garden of Italy. At the time, Italian cuisine didn't enjoy the prestige it does now. The fine dining scene was dominated by French cuisine. Yet Ettore's exceptional culinary skills made his restaurant an instant success, with customers clamoring to learn how to cook Italian dishes themselves. That's when Ettore had a brilliant idea. Before we move on, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more content like this in the future. Why don't we start bottling our sauce and selling it? Would it sell? Ettore asked his family. Soon after, he began collecting milk bottles and filling them with his pasta sauces to sell to his customers. Demand grew, and he started offering takeout orders with cheese, uncooked pasta, and his famous sauce. Eventually, the popularity of his sauce outpaced his restaurant business. Realizing he couldn't keep up with the orders on his own, Ettore needed to expand. He established a small canning and processing plant in Cleveland, bringing in his brothers Paul and Mario to help launch the Chef Boyardee Food Company. The company introduced 3 spaghetti sauces to the market: traditional, mushroom, and spicy Naples style. Business was flourishing, but there was one problem. American customers and salespeople struggled to pronounce Boyardee. Ettore decided to change the spelling to the more phonetic Boyardee, explaining, "Everyone is proud of his own family name, but sacrifices are necessary for progress." 8 years later, the product that made Chef Boyardee famous was introduced: pre-packaged meals. The first offering was simple: a jar of spaghetti sauce, a container of grated Parmesan cheese, and a box of spaghetti. A complete spaghetti dinner ready to make at home. The company began selling its canned sauces in A&P grocery stores, opening up to a national market. The timing was perfect, as can openers had become user-friendly and Americans trusted canned products as convenient, nutritious, and time-saving. Day by day, more canned sauces and prepackaged meals flowed out of the Chef Boyardee factory. There was no denying the brand's success. Within 2 years, the company had grown so much that its Cleveland plant could no longer keep up. Ettore decided to move operations to a larger factory in Milton, Pennsylvania. This new location also had the advantage of being closer to their tomato supply. In fact, they required such a vast quantity of tomatoes that they had to persuade local farmers to switch crops to meet the demand. Chef Boyardee had become a significant player in the market, and soon the United States would require their expertise when the country went to war. The U.S. military needed food with long shelf lives that could be transported to front lines in Europe and the Pacific, something Chef Boyardee already excelled at. The company was commissioned to produce countless cans of rations for soldiers. To meet the increased demand, the factory operated 24/7, with its lights on and production lines running non-stop. Their efforts did not go unappreciated. A year after the war ended, Ettore Boiardi was awarded the Gold Star, one of the highest honors a civilian can receive, and his employees gathered in Milton to celebrate the Allied victory. However, this would be the last accolade he received as the head of his own company. Faced with a post-war decline in demand, Ettore knew he could not afford to keep all the employees he had hired during the war. His only option was to sell the company. It was a tough decision, but he understood that only a larger company could keep his staff employed. Ettore sold Chef Boyardee to American Home for $6 million. After the sale, he continued to work with the company as both a consultant and spokesperson. Tragedy struck when Ettore passed away from an illness at the age of 87. By then, he was widely recognized as one of America's top culinary talents. In the years that followed, Chef Boyardee introduced more canned and microwavable products, including ravioli, beefaroni, and lasagna. Despite this expansion, American Home eventually decided to sell its food businesses to focus on healthcare and pharmaceuticals. As time went on, Chef Boyardee's sales remained steady, even as Americans increasingly favored fresh food over canned. However, when the COVID-19 pandemic began, sales surged as people were confined to their homes and sought inexpensive, easy-to-prepare, comforting meals. Today, Chef Boyardee is owned by Conagra Brands, contributing to the conglomerate's recent 35% growth increase. Americans still turn to Chef Boyardee products like beefaroni, ravioli, and spaghetti and meatballs as a go-to comfort food option. This is the story of how a 16-year-old left Italy for the US and worked his way up from a waiter to one of the top culinary talents, building a famous food brand along the way. From humble beginnings to a household name, Chef Boyardee's legacy continues to bring comfort to families across the nation.